So, after quite a few late nights and quite a bit of caffeine, I wrote a D&D One-Shot, and I fancy giving it away for free. So let's take 2d20s and grab the advantage for the roll. So like many of you watching this video, I love D&D. Woo! I've been playing it for about 8 years with my friends and family, and in that time I've had the pleasure of being both a player character and a DM. Speaking to those DMs of you out there, and any aspiring DMs as well, I know how hard it can be to plan a session for your players, taking the time to think of an idea, planning out the steps, writing the encounters, coming up with detailed environment descriptions. It takes time. So, to ease your burden and give you a night off, I wrote you a one-shot. As a DM, being able to improvise in the moment is a really important skill to have, but if you're anything like me, having a framework behind that improv is really important. Something that gives you the background knowledge to have the confidence to be able to improvise the additional detail. And that's what I've done with this. As for being eloquent with your vocabulary when you're improvising, I hope this has highlighted the use of to add those additional link in the previous description. A bit yeah, I can't help with that. The Ruins of Raven's Peak is an encompassing D&D one-shot supplement that gives you everything you need to run a session, with captivating environment descriptions, NPC dialogue options, monster stat blocks, and even a detailed battle map for your VTTs. I was inspired to write this for two reasons. The first of which is I know how much having a framework for a D&D session already built can mean to some people that want to DM a session, but may have a lack of confidence in describing things like its scene environments, or creating NPCs, or writing a storyline itself, or simply just not having the time. And I want to give those DMs the helping hand, for free, that I wish I had when I was starting out. The second reason was that I picked up this TT Compact Terrain kit, and I thought it'd be great for an in-person D&D session with my friends and family. So for this video, I wanted to give you access to all the resources you're going to need to run this one-shot, either virtually or in person. Now, I love making tabletop terrain. This channel kind of proves that. So whilst I give you a glimpse into the one-shot via the audio, you can follow along visually whilst I make the terrain and show you how you can build it for your one-shot in person. Now this terrain build won't have any audio guides like my other videos, but should that be of interest to you, let me know in the comments below. Now before we get to the one-shot itself, if you wouldn't mind clicking the like and subscribe buttons, they will go a really long way to helping this channel reach a wider audience. And considering I've written a one-shot for you, just be nice, wouldn't it? I'll let you know where you can download the digital copy of this one-shot and the battle map that's included with it at the end of this video. But first, let's jump into the Ruins of Raven's Peak. Part 1. Arrival in Elwood. The road winds through dense, ancient forests, the trees standing tall and solemn, their branches whispering secrets in the wind. The path opens up to reveal a quaint town of Elwood, nestled in a clearing. Small, rustic cottages with thatched roofs and stone chimneys dot the landscape. Smoke rises lazily from the chimneys, hinting at the warmth within. The air is crisp, carrying a scent of pine and the distant promise of winter. The town square is bustling with activity despite the growing shadows of the late afternoon. Market stalls line the cobblestone streets, offering fresh produce, handmade crafts and various trinkets. Townsfolk go about their business, but there's an undercurrent of tension in the hurried movements and whispered conversations. At the centre of the square stands the town hall, a large building made of sturdy oak and stone, with a modest bell tower at its peak. The door is heavy and adorned with iron brands. A page of parchment is nailed to a notice board outside the hall with the words, "Help needed. Seek Mayor Windrider within. Gold reward." Inside the town hall, you are greeted by the warmth of a roaring fireplace and the scent of aged wood and parchment. The office is lined with bookshelves crammed with dusty tomes and scrolls. A large wooden desk sits at the far end, cluttered with maps and documents. Behind it stands Mayor Alara Windrider, a middle-aged woman with sharp, intelligent eyes and a streak of silver in her dark hair. She rises to greet you. Welcome. I am Mayor Alana Windrider. What brings you to our town? Well, the notice outside. Yes, well, our town of Elwood has been plagued by mysterious abductions. Shadowy figures have been seen near the old castle of Ravenspeak. We fear that they are the source of our troubles. We need you to investigate these ruins and put an end to the menace threatening our home and people. Will you help us? Gathering further information. Old Man Harrick's cottage. His home is a quaint, cluttered place, filled with artifacts and relics from bygone eras. Harrick is a thin, elderly man with long, white beard and keen, twinkling eyes. He sits by the fireplace, his gnarled hands wrapped around a steaming mug of tea.
Ah, Ravenspeak. Once a grand castle, now just a haunt for shadows. It fell to ruin centuries ago, but its history remains etched in stone and memory. Beware the crumbled great hall. It is said to hold dark secrets and restless spirits. If you venture there, take heed and be prepared. The castle has stood empty for 3 generations now. Once a proud family that established this town, ruin befell them when a jealous relative came to town to take their fortune they had built. Driven by rage and spite, he murdered the family in cold blood, it is said, aided by dark shadows that consumed him after the deed was done. Since the events of that night, no one has set foot in the castle, believing it to be a place of bad omen. Now it seems someone or something has awoken the dark shadows once more to feed on this poor town.
Preparing supplies. The guardhouse. At the town guardhouse, the adventurers meet Captain Borin Thorne, a burly, no-nonsense man with a scar running down his cheek and a stern expression. The guardhouse is well organised, with weapons and armour neatly stored, and a map of the surrounding area pinned to the wall.
You'll need to be well prepared for what lies ahead. Take these healing potions and this map of Ravenspeak. It's not much, but it's the best we have. Stick to the main paths, but keep an eye out for any hidden dangers. Good luck out there, and may the gods watch over you.
Part 2. Journey to Ravenspeak. The road leading out of Elwood quickly narrows into a winding path swallowed by the dense foliage of the forest. The trees here are ancient and towering, their twisted branches forming a canopy that allows any slivers of light to penetrate. The air is cool and filled with an earthy scent of moss and decaying leaves. Occasionally, a bird call echoes through the woods, but otherwise, it's eerily silent. The crunch of leaves underfoot suddenly gives way to the soft rustling of underbrush nearby. Before you can react, a pair of glowing eyes appear in the shadows, followed by more. A pack of wolves steps into view, their low growls filling the air as they slowly encircle you. Arriving at Ravenspeak. The forest opens up to reveal a rocky clearing at the base of a steep cliff. Perched atop this cliff, silhouetted against the darkened sky, is the crumbled structure of Ravenspeak Castle. Vines and moss cover its once grand walls, and several of its towers have collapsed, giving it a desolate and eerie appearance. The path to the castle is steep and treacherous, with loose rocks and gravel making each step uncertain. The wind picks up as you climb, howling through the crags and adding to the sense of foreboding. As you near the top, the view below reveals the dense forest stretching out like a dark sea, with the town of Elwood just a distant memory. Finally, you reach the castle's main gate, which hangs ajar on rusted hinges. The courtyard beyond is overgrown with weeds and scattered with debris from the castle's slow decay. You push open the heavy, iron-bound gate, which creaks loudly in protest. The courtyard beyond is a stark contrast to what the once mighty stronghold must have been. Weeds and wildflowers have taken over, and the stones beneath your feet are cracked and uneven. The air here is still and cold, and every sound seems amplified by the eerie silence. The shadows cast by the now setting sun seem to lengthen, and an unsettling feeling settles in the pit of your stomach. Whatever you're here to face, it's clear you're not alone. Part 3. The Cultist's Plot. You come across a grand doorway, its stone archway adorned with faded carvings of ravens and cryptid symbols. The heavy wooden doors are slightly ajar, a dim, flickering light seeping through the gap. The air grows colder as you approach, and a faint, rhythmic chanting can be heard from within. Pushing the doors ajar slightly, you are met with a chilling sight. The chamber beyond is open air and vast, the ceilings collapsed long ago. At the far end, a makeshift altar has been erected from rubble and old stone slabs. Dark tapestries hang from the walls, depicting scenes of shadowy figures and arcane symbols. 6 cages line the crumbled walls of the chamber, sleeping captives held within. Could these be the missing townsfolk that Mayor Windrider mentioned? In the center of the room, a group of cultists clad in dark robes are gathering in a circle, chanting in an ancient guttural language. Their leader, a tall figure with an ornate mask, has a staff atop with a black crystal, stands at the head of the altar, overseeing the ritual. Shadowy forms flicker and dance around the room, responding to the cultist incantations.
Intruders! They dare defile our sacred rite. Destroy them, my brethren!
And that's it for another build. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you looking forward to running this one-shot yourself, or are there any other one-shot ideas that you'd like me to create? And don't forget to click the like and subscribe button. This is going to help the channel grow to a much wider audience, allowing them to access the same resources that you have. Now, to get the one-shot, head over to my Patreon page, where you'll find the Ruins of Ravens Peak PDF booklet, as well as a high-res battle map for your VTTs. The link to gain access to this completely free is in the description below. If you'd also like to support the channel even more, my Patreon starts from just $4 a month. This will help create new videos to give you even more ideas of how to expand your tabletop experience. Patreon members also get access to the Discord server, supporter showcases, monthly prize draws, and a heap of other benefits. Just like this one-shot. I wanted to give a huge thank you to producer Danny H. Your continued support has allowed me to produce this one-shot for the community, and a massive thank you to all the other Patreon members. Once again, thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to check out the other videos for more tabletop tips and guides. I hope this has highlighted the use of to add those additional link in the previous description. A bit